The leather suitcase hit the concrete platform with a dull, heavy thud that went unnoticed by the hundreds of commuters rushing toward the terminal exits. Musk stood still for a heartbeat, letting the current of the crowd flow around him like water around a stone. He did not look at the arrivals board or the bustling stalls selling newspapers. His eyes locked onto the distant glass of the station exit, mapping a path through the sea of moving shoulders and dragging luggage. He stepped forward. His stride was steady, rhythmic, and entirely indifferent to the frantic pace of those around him. He maneuvered through the congestion without breaking his gait. His focus narrowed to the horizon beyond the station walls. Every step placed him further from the platform and deeper into the grid of the city. He didn't check his watch. He didn't ask for directions. He simply moved, a single, deliberate force carving a straight line through the chaotic movement of the morning rush. As he pushed through the heavy glass doors and out into the biting air, he didn't slow down. He stepped onto the sidewalk, turned left, and vanished into the gray expanse of the city, his pace already quickening toward the unknown. The city noise faded the moment he pulled the deadbolt shut in his apartment. He cleared a section of the wooden desk, shoving aside the few remaining personal items to make room for the stack of physics textbooks. A single lamp cast a sharp, circular pool of light over the surface. He gripped his pencil, the lead snapping against the paper as he forced the tip back into the grain. He worked through the math, scribbling orbital trajectories that filled the margins of his notebooks until the ink blurred. The apartment felt small, the walls closing in as the complexity of the equations outpaced his current resources. He stood, gathered the notebooks, and walked to Queen's University. He navigated the library aisles, the smell of dust and old paper thick in the air. He slid a heavy volume from the shelf, the spine groaning under the weight. He claimed a seat at a long table wedged between rows of students. His gaze remained locked on the professor at the front of the hall. He kept his hand moving, recording every lecture note, every derivation, and every formula without pause. The silence of the library was absolute, punctuated only by the rhythmic scratching of pens against paper and the occasional heavy thud of a book hitting the table. The computer lab was a hollow, air-conditioned cavern when he arrived, empty save for the steady hum of cooling fans. Musk pulled a chair to the terminal, the screen casting a harsh, pale blue light across his face. He began to type. His fingers moved with a precise, mechanical cadence, striking keys in rapid bursts of activity. Lines of code scrolled upward, replacing the previous static screen with dense, flickering data. He ignored the passing hours. When he hit a logic error, he paused for only a fraction of a second, his eyes narrowing as he scanned the block of text. Then he resumed, faster than before. The lab grew colder, the light from the monitor becoming the only anchor in the dim room. He worked through the night, the world outside the window remaining a black void until the first thin line of gray appeared on the horizon. He did not stop until the final command executed and the terminal stabilized. He stood up, his muscles stiff, and pushed the chair back. He stepped out of the lab into the cool, morning air. His silhouette stretched long against the concrete quad as he walked toward the campus fountain, his breathing steady, his pace showing the relentless drive of a man who had finally begun to build. He pushed the door to the shared office space open, his stride purposeful. The room smelled of ozone and hot metal. He reached the central workbench, sweeping a pile of discarded papers aside to create a clear square of workspace. He pulled a circuit board from his pack, laying it flat against the wood. He grabbed the soldering iron, the tip glowing dull red as it reached temperature. He brought the tool down. A sharp, bright spark jumped from the connection, momentarily illuminating his face. He held the position, his hand rock steady as the solder flowed and bonded. He pulled back, set the iron in its stand, and turned his attention to the wall behind him. It was covered in hand-drawn diagrams, complex sketches of rocket stages and solar arrays overlapping in dense layers. He studied the lines, tracing a trajectory with his finger, then compared it to the board on his desk. He leaned back, the chair legs scraping against the concrete floor. The silence in the room was heavy, filled with the potential of the hardware in front of him. He reached for a wrench, rolled his shoulders to shake off the tension, and leaned back into the work. The cycle of design and assembly had begun, and he did not stop for the rest of the day. He set the tools down, left the workspace, and climbed toward the roof. The air grew thinner and colder as he reached the top level. He stepped out onto the flat, gravel surface. The city stretched out below him, a sprawling grid of pulsing light and shadow. He walked to the edge, his boots crunching on the loose stone. He stopped. His posture was rigid. His gaze locked onto the horizon where the dark sky met the glowing urban sprawl. He did not move for a long time. The wind pulled at his hair, but he stood like a pillar, his attention fixed on a point far beyond the buildings. He was calculating variables that existed only in his mind, mapping out trajectories that the sprawling city below could not yet see. He turned away from the view. He walked toward the heavy metal door of the stairwell, his stride heavy and deliberate. He pushed the door open and stepped inside, the steel frame closing behind him with a dull, echoing thud. The camera pulled back, lifting away from the rooftop, until the structure became a mere speck within the immense, sprawling geography of the city, highlighting the vastness of the path he had chosen to walk.